Hi there, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Better Than Food Book Reviews. I'm your host, Clifford Lee Sargent. A huge thank you to everyone who helped me reach 200,000 subscribers. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's been a long time, and I'm shocked it's taken me until now to review this. I'm shocked it's taken me till the age I am to read this. Today is A Clockwork Orange by the English author Anthony Burgess, published in 1962. I saw the Kubrick film adaptation years ago, but this was actually my first time reading it. A Clockwork Orange is a dystopian satire set in England in the not-too-distant future. The novel is written in a goofy future English slang called nadsat, which is like Cockney that borrows heavily from Russian, this sing-songy neologistic lingo. Highly quotable. As Burgess himself said in a video linked below, he tried to conceal the transgressive elements of the novel using this language. The contrast of the two creates a very singular, bizarre reading experience. It's very silly, so I'll give you a synopsis. A Clockwork Orange is unreliably narrated by a young man named Alex, an English teenager who terrorizes locals with his small gang of droogs, as he calls them. Droogs means friends in Nadsat, his compatriots, his gang members, brothers. He treats us like one of his droogs, you'll notice. He's always finishing sentences, "Oh, my brothers," right? There's an appendix for the book from Wiktionary.org linked below. After some group infighting, they turn on him and Alex winds up in prison, only to be selected for a new experimental procedure that will allow him to be cured, and quickly released back into society. The entire book is about the importance of free will and the right to choose. As the book within the book by the character F. Alexander says, man should not be turned into a machine, a piece of artificial fruit, a clockwork orange. I love this stuff with the milk. The milk is so weird. Who the hell drinks milk in a bar with, drugs mixed in? It's a very strange setup. I feel like that's just an instant recipe for nausea, but seems pretty interesting. And then if you take enough of it, you start speaking in this weird tongue. You start speaking in poetic language. Makes no sense, but it's it kind of works together. It's weird. People who get too drunk on it go into what Alex calls the land, and they're just lost in this alternate universe which has all kinds of weird visions, what have you, and the land of the Malacco. Interesting psychedelic element in the book. Aside from the profound questions and the bizarre and innovative use of language, what makes A Clockwork Orange so engaging to read is its anti-hero narrator, Alex. Alex is a high IQ sociopath, loves his ultra-violence, as he puts it, right? A born villain, entirely in his element, not a shred of guilt or remorse, none. He is man's evil manifested, and shockingly natural at his craft, an actual true blue sadist, and only 15 years old. Sexual assault in general, theft, these are his hobbies. He is out to use up and destroy the world. He's the unassimilable part of society that turns around and destroys itself. Why are we fascinated by Alex? Because he is a man who lives for conflict, unconflicted. A manipulative, narcissistic solipsist, 100%. In the film, Malcolm McDowell nailed the role, especially with the Gene Kelly Singing in the Rain improvisation, which just makes him so sinister. But Alex is not a nihilist. He's extremely depraved but principled. He's deeply moved by music, yet completely indifferent to humanity. The descriptions of his experience of music are some of the greatest descriptions of aesthetic appreciation I've read in a novel. Poetic, metaphorical, synesthetic, almost Shakespearean. Then, brothers, it came. Oh, bliss, bliss in heaven. I lay all Nagoy to the ceiling, my Gulliver on my rookers on the pillow, glazies closed, wrought open in bliss, sluicing the sluice of lovely sounds. Oh, it was gorgeousness and gorgeosity made flesh. The trombones crunched red gold under my bed, and behind my Gulliver the trumpets three-wise silver flamed, and there by the door the timps rolling through my guts and out again crunched like candy thunder. Oh, it was wonder of wonders. And then, a bird of like rarest spun heaven metal, or like silvery wine flowing in a spaceship, gravity all nonsense now, came the violin solo above all the other strings, and those strings were like a cage of silk round my bed. A Reddit comment by the user TibbyTime, linked below, inspired my following thought. Notice the similarity between Alex and Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, the obsession with music, right? Alex has better taste, preferring Beethoven, whereas Bateman enjoys, right, Huey Lewis and the News. Bateman is faking it, Alex is not. He's not an actual psychopath, because he can still feel. So, there's a similarity but a big difference. For Alex, the music he loves inspires the same feelings inside him that sex and violence do. He really gets off on it. He exclusively prefers classical. Above all others, it seems that Alex loves Beethoven. For Alex, art is violence and violence is art. They coalesce inside him, fused. This is why the book, and especially the film, had such an enormous influence on counterculture, such as punk rock. In a clip linked below, Steven Spielberg called The Clockwork Orange the first punk rock movie ever made. Burgess was highly conflicted over the book's influence, understandably, eventually regretting having written the book entirely. Because Alex is, essentially, pure evil. He really is repulsive. The crimes in the book are even worse than the film, as the ages of some of the female victims in the book are far, far lower. The film is already disturbing as it is, but the crimes in the book are arguably even worse. What's more, Burgess's inspiration for the book came from a real-life brutally dark tragedy. His first wife was assaulted by a group of American GI deserters in England during World War II, which resulted in her having a miscarriage. So the book began with something very serious, but seems to have escaped its author's intentions. Largely due to Kubrick's film, certainly, but also because of the way Burgess wrote it. The real ugliness of the crimes committed is submerged, glossed over. There's an interesting debate on the merits of A Clockwork Orange between the authors Will Self and Sophia McDougall on the BBC, linked below, that inspired my following thought. If one were reading it through a purely moral lens, that's the book's biggest fault. It never truly confronts the violence it portrays. That's true. However, on an aesthetic level, as a work of literature, of art, it's marvelous, gripping, innovative. And it says something that Burgess wrote it after his wife suffered what she did, because in spite of being affected by the violence of free will, by its consequences, he still wrote a book emphasizing the critical importance of free will. Will Self calls the book a paradox, and he's absolutely correct. You can look at it from both sides, right? There's no resolution here. We're still dealing with these issues. That's why it's a classic, you know? In that debate I mentioned, Will Self very astutely identifies Beethoven as an individualist who was associated with the idea of free will, and ties the book to Romanticism. A contemporary of Beethoven, the Marquis de Sade, who, according to the author Camille Paglia, possessed romantic elements himself, was also an individualist, to put it lightly, and all about free will as well. Very sexual, very violent, very, very free will. So think about those two figures, Beethoven and Sade, both lovers of free will. Polar opposites, essentially good and evil. Two faces on the same coin. Alex is a direct disciple of Sade. There's your problem in a malanky little nutshell, though, my brothers. The two letzos of free will. See, it doesn't sound like Alex when I do it. It just sounds like fucking old Greg. I'm old Greg! Easy, fuzzy little man peach. So after he's caught, Alex is cured by being made artificially normal, conditioned to be sickened by what he used to enjoy. He's altered, controlled, and Burgess shows us that, because of this, his free will is sacrificed. Ted K might say his power process has been destroyed. I feel like Ted would love this book. Alex is metaphysically castrated and suddenly rendered a victim who can't even use violence to defend himself. He is essentially treated with his own medicine. But it's eerie. Certainly. We're moving closer and closer to some version of this. Maybe in the future we'll get some sort of chip in the brain that isn't just used for intelligence, but is like ChatGPT with safeguards. Anytime you might think something improper or get an inclination to misbehave, you'll get, "This might violate our usage policies!" Alex is the policy violation, right? Aside from the punchy, droll, witty writing capturing the singular voice of a notoriously unreliable narrator, your friend and humble narrator, as Alex calls himself. Yeah, right. Burgess presents us with a disturbing paradox. Which is worse, the disease or the cure? We need our freedom to defend ourselves, but total freedom for all is incompatible with society. Liberty and justice for all is actually a contradiction in terms. Total liberty and total justice for everyone is impossible. It's more like liberty and justice, perhaps. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice, perhaps. Doesn't land as well, does it? Here we come back to Freud's diagnosis of civilization in his book Civilization and Its Discontents, which is that man cannot fulfill his aggressive or sexual desires while living in society. And, stuffing these down in his psyche using guilt or otherwise, he is unable to be happy. Few narrators are as strikingly happy as Alex when he commits atrocities. This contrast is a part of the book that really grabs your attention. Only Sade reaches this level of jubilance when it comes to committing violence. What sickens most brings Alex absolute and total joy. Happy, happy, joy, joy. He is the walking antithesis of polite, well-to-do society. And he's proving Freud's point. All his desires are fulfilled, and we, society, can't possibly tolerate him. Actually, come to think of it, Alex is a picture of what a man might look like if he were born without guilt. Much of the rest of him is normal, except you just take that away and this is what happens. A man doing evil things for which he feels guilt can be reformed. A man doing things he knows are evil and for which he feels not only no guilt but rather the polar opposite, that he's living in the ecstatic heights of existence. Alright, now you have a villain. And Alex sits among literature's finest because he's so convincing. Burgess's contradictory feelings about his own novel seem to reflect the paradox of the novel itself. freedom of choice is necessary, but there are consequences, right? Burgess himself personally knew the hideous consequences of total freedom with what happened to his wife, but wrote a story of a man enjoying his sadistic freedom, allowing us to see just how much he really is enjoying himself. So the fact that the reaction to his book seems to have perplexed him is understandable. It seems that he thought the depiction of a repulsive character like Alex by itself would be enough to get his ideas across. And the main reason he was upset was Kubrick's film, but the film is a very faithful adaptation. Kubrick does not change very much. Kubrick doesn't make any huge sweeping changes. In fact, the film is more toned down than the book. But Burgess wrote Alex as such a charismatic character that in a stunning act of criminality that transcends the line between art and life itself, Alex sabotaged the intentions of his own author and became a cult icon of transgressive rebellion. Now that is an anti-hero. To the point where the author regretted writing his own damn book. I have never seen that in the history of literature, ever. He actually took over, right? Burgess channeled something very, very dark. And when it was finished, and when it got released, he regretted it. Alex got in there and got out, gained life through him. Truly manipulative. That's Alex, right? He uses people. He used Burgess to get out there. Alex uses people, then destroys them. He used and destroyed Burgess, in a way. It's insane. He really is free from all authority, including that of Burgess, his own author. The only other example of this I can think of in literature is the character Satan from Milton's Paradise Lost, possibly an inspiration for the character of Alex, though, to my knowledge, Milton never said that he regretted writing Paradise Lost. Satan just happens to be the primary reason for reading the poem. He's easily the strongest part, the strongest character. Now, most of that's probably because Burgess didn't get paid anything for having the film made, but you know, I think that's why Burgess was really pissed, is because he didn't make anything off the film. They just bought the rights and that was it. Because he was kind of left with the bag of having to defend the novel for the rest of his life, you know. If he got some royalties out of it, I think he would have been a lot happier, but what an incredible situation, right? I mean, Burgess, with his dark sense of satirical English humor and artistic intuition, couldn't help himself. I really don't know if you can blame him for tapping into something like this. The truth is, Alex is an absolute demon. Real evil. He is also very funny and highly entertaining. That's what makes art and literature great. Challenge. Expressing life's shocking contradictions. And A Clockwork Orange is challenging. The novel is filled with contradictions in the characters and the overall ideas, not only in Alex, but also in the idea of the book itself. How can a character be both evil and entertaining? How can you have both free will and justice? Oh, it doesn't give you any answers. I don't have them either. You're on your own for this shit, dude. Good luck. Burgess doesn't have the answer. I don't have the answer either. That's for you to figure out. That's for everybody to decide for themselves. There's no ethical or moral resolution here. You're not going to get one. That's real life. And that's what great art reflects. And that's what A Clockwork Orange does. So whether you despise A Clockwork Orange for its moral shortcomings or love it for its irreverent, subversive dark humor, you're probably right. Is it still a great work of art? Definitely. Great art and morality are often at odds. The following line referring to the novel, which is the ending of the introduction of this edition written by Burgess himself, seems to apply here. And that line is, "Eat this Swedish segment or spit it out. You are free." As in, a segment of an orange, right? Things to chew on. In a blurb on the back of this edition, William S. Burroughs calls it, as he puts it, a very funny book. He ain't lying. For example, when Alex is getting gang stomped by a group of withered old men in the library, just read the book, and an attendant comes in and says, "Stop it at once. This is a reading room." We're dangerously close to Monty Python territory here, right? Moments like this clue you into the satirical nature of the book. Yes, it's dark and violent, but it's also got moments of Pynchonian over-the-topness. It's violent dystopian comedy with a philosophical core. It's not realism, right? It's a novel of violence and silliness. Of silliness and violence. An unusual combination that works spectacularly as it turns out. There's nothing quite like it. The final chapter of the book has been referred to as redeeming. Burgess seems to share this view, indignant that it was left out of the American version of the book, which is the one that Kubrick shot. It's not redeeming. There's nothing redeeming about Alex. He's beyond redemption. You're only faced with the truth that even the most evil people can eventually get bored and mellow out. It neither redeems nor condemns Alex any further than what has already occurred. Interesting in the predictable cycle of life kind of way, but not essential. Kubrick, in my opinion, made the right choice. The book seems to say, through the actions of not only Alex but also his victim F. Alexander, the Minister of the Interior, or Inferior, the police, or Millicents, including Billy Boy and Dim, and just about every other major character, that no one is pure, no one is innocent. Eventually, no system is without corruption, and neither is any individual. Not even the old alibi babushkas in The Duke of New York, right? Those old women cracked me up in the end. Same as ever. Bog or God help us all. Better than food. 4 out of 5 coffees. I highly recommend it. It's pretty damn good. So what did I dislike? The slang interrupted my reading flow. I found myself compulsively rereading throughout the book, which eventually became very time-consuming and took away from the reading experience. Alex likes to use the word like right before describing something. And so it would be like this, like that. And the use of the word like was like an electric shock that would short-circuit my eyes. It would jam my whole reading system up. All the gears would just seize. And suddenly I'd have to reread the sentence or the paragraph to get the rhythm again. Other than that, it's great. I think if that doesn't bother you, you're going to have a very easy time with it. It'll be a fast read. So who should read it? If you're into J.G. Ballard, William S. Burroughs, George Orwell, and Thomas Pynchon, check this out. And with that, coffee time. For those of you who are new, thank you very much for stopping by and watching the show. I take all the names of the patrons who are financially supporting the show on Patreon and I place their names in this mason jar. And for every review, I pull out a name. And whoever's name I pull out is sent a hard copy of the book I'm reviewing, plus a bag of coffee, roasted by yours truly. And the coffee's delicious. Currently it's from Brazil. If you would like to get in on that and help support the show, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. It means a lot. You can click on the link below or go to patreon.com/books are better than food, and the tiers start at $5 per video. I make about 3 to 4 videos a month on average. Please don't forget to set a monthly limit if you're on a budget. Though if you do set a limit, please allow for at least 3 monthly charges in order to get the video call perk. That's for the $10 per video plus tiers. In addition, for becoming a paid patron, you'll get access to all this cool stuff. And international shipping is included, however unfortunately I can't send coffee to the UAE or Qatar. Thank you so much to all my patrons for helping me keep this project going. It truly means a lot. Couldn't do it without you. And best of luck. Okay, here we go. Ben C. Thank you very much, Ben. Really appreciate it. You're going to receive a Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess, plus a bag of coffee, roasted by yours truly, and I hope you love both. Cheers. Please subscribe if you have not already, and hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and always remember, die reading. Alright. Great to see you. Have a good one. Talk to you soon. Ciao.